Hey, this is Brad and Isaac from the fighting side.
Dirty.
Do you like cranking hogs?
Skull, yeah.
Pizzing in your piz jug?
Every day.
Do you miss Deborah?
I miss Deb every day.
What about lot lizards?
We cap their ass.
Well, if you like these things, come out and see us this Friday as we release the Hellbent on Hard Times EP at Off-Broadway.
Yeehaw!
With Quinlan Conley.
And Yard Eagle.
This Friday night at Off-Broadway, the Hellbent on Hard Times EP release party with the fighting side, Quinlan Conley, Yard Eagle. Party starts at about 8 o'clock. Come hang out.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast. Thank you for checking out a brand new episode of the show. Today's features Gabe Usery from Encapsulated Studios, and you may recognize him with bands like The Disappeared and The Wilderness. And we get into all his work behind the board and his work as a player behind the kit. Do want to remind you, as always, Rock Paper Podcast is brought to you by Roughneck Beard Company and American Rambler, located here in St. Louis, Missouri, over in the Maplewood area on Manchester. Stop by and visit them at the shop or shop 24/7 at roughneckbeardcompany.com. Use my code RPP15 for an exclusive 15% off your purchase of all your favorite beard oils, beard balms, junk powder, or any of their fine grooming products over there. You know, during the hot summer months, it may be tempting to shave, but did you know that having a beard can keep you cooler in the summer heat? Beards provide protection from UV rays and keep sweat off your face so you can keep cooler longer in the hottest heat. Just make sure to keep your beard clean with Roughneck's house-made beard bar. All-natural soap with milled oats and African black soap. Cleanses amazingly without stripping away your natural oils. And if you do decide to shave it off, do it with American Rambler's amazing pre-shave oils and Miracle Tonic Aftershave. Either way, they've got you covered. Again, find it all, roughneckbeardcompany.com, and use that code RPP15 and help support this show and support local business. Also, big shout out to Heil Sound for their continued support of this show and helping make this show sound great. Shop heilsound.com today and grab a brand new microphone. And if you haven't heard the news, Rock Paper Podcast presents Singer-Songwriter Storytelling Showcase happening August 21st at the Focal Point in Maplewood, Missouri. Bringing along my buddy Andy Sito from Denver, Colorado, and Anthony J. Russo, Nick Gussman, and Karen Choi. It's going to be an incredible evening and a listening room experience over there at the Focal Point. 4 writers, 4 stools, 4 guitars, and the stories behind all your favorite songs. So join us. Tickets available at thefocalpoint.org. And if you haven't checked out the merch store, please visit buyjack.com/rockpaperpodcast today and snag a new shirt, a hat, tank top for the summer, whatever you need. I've got you taken care of in all kinds of different sizes and colors and designs. So check it all out. Again, buyjack.com/rockpaperpodcast. And thank you to everybody else that's already purchased any of the shirts and stuff. It really means the world to me. So thank you. If you need me, of course, you can always find me at rockpaperpodcast.com. Hit me up on the socials. Email me at rockpaperpodcast@gmail.com. And with all that out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy this brand new episode with my buddy, Gabe Usery.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
Hey, this is Gabe Usery from Encapsulated Studios and a bunch of bands, and you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
This is beat paper, paper covers rock. Rock beats is the Shane covers non-stop. Never know what new kind of guests that he's got coming at you. Live and direct on the spot. Could be rock, folk, country, or hip-hop, jazz. All kind of folks that he has. Could be an artist host or a comedian to make you laugh on the
Rock Paper Podcast.
double-decker fudge round, rolling round town. Shane coming at you live and direct from ground zero. He's your hero, he's your bestie. Rock Paper Podcast with Shane Presley.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri, hanging out at Encapsulated Studios with Gabe Usery.
Hello, it's me.
Hey man, welcome back to the show.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend. It's been way too long.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, we
Been pre-COVID.
yeah, oh yeah, that whole thing.
Thing.
Well, we keep up every now and then with online and stuff. So it's not like we haven't talked at all, but it's always nice to catch up here with the buddies, especially face to face now. I'm done with the whole Zoom interviews thing.
Yeah.
I did it while I had to, but it's nice that we can officially do these in person now.
In person's better for sure.
Yeah, and anybody that's been following along, you obviously been on this show with some of your bands,
The Wilderness and The Disappeared.
Yeah. So we've no stranger to the show, but
Not sure how long ago that was, but
yeah, it's been a little while.
yeah.
But I know we did one over. Dan and Bobby came on to talk about the new record, but that was over Zoom, and it was just those two, I think. But we did do a full band one a while back. It's probably a couple of years now, but but anyway. But this one I wanted to do a little different. I thought it'd be a lot of fun just to sit with you and talk about some of your work as a producer and engineer behind the board here.
That's what I do.
And then obviously you, when you're not doing that, you're playing in about every band in town.
At least 1 million, yeah.
Yeah.
I think 5 at the moment. So
All right. So we got a lot to cover, and I just thought this would be a fun night, man, just to hang with you. So
excited.
yeah. So like I said, we're here at Encapsulated, and I kind of wanted to talk about the producing stuff first. I think because this whole world is really interesting to me. I often, we were just talking before we hit record. Between doing my own show, learning how to make this show sound the best I can, and starting to do a lot more with performance-wise and stuff. Just, I don't know, music and recording and all that stuff has just always been something that really interests me.
It's
and
intriguing, yeah.
So for a guy like yourself, I'm a big fan of your work and how you were able to make these all kind of come to life, bringing these songs to their full potential and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds like you got it pretty nailed down by what you played me.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I'm really pleased with what I'm able to do with the minimal
Tools you have.
Yeah. So
sounds great, man.
I'm hoping that one day I can expand it to maybe more of a proper
To 4 microphones.
Yeah, right, maybe. Yeah. You never know. A guy can dream. So
Yeah, absolutely.
But what was some of that early stuff for a young Gabe, like that kind of wanting to put you on this path to music production?
I think as a little kid, I was somehow interested in it. I mean, I started playing drums when I was maybe 7 or so, and then I just kind of had a natural interest in recording. I would sit in front of the stereo and air drum or beat on some pots and pans or whatever, and then it kind of, by my preteens or so, it kind of evolved into, taking like a cassette recorder and figuring how to do overdub stuff or linking a couple together and just experimenting with that. And then, eventually at some point getting a little cheap, like cassette multi-track recorder. In high school, I started doing, recording my friends' bands on, very poorly with what I had. Just with a few cheap microphones and a cassette deck thing, I was just always really intrigued by it, and just failing. I mean, just constantly listening back and being like, man, why does it sound so bad? And
Right.
and then learning like, oh, this, like kind of what makes it sound better, and I mean, a very long journey, you know.
Sure. I again, doing this podcast and putting those early ones out, like we only had we started the show with a Blue Yeti tabletop microphone, USB mic, and I mean, it did the job, you know.
Sure.
It wasn't great by any means, but we got some pretty solid early recordings and even had some decent live acoustic stuff on the show that we tried to do. But again, it's like, it's a lot of that, like, just like you're saying, like I was listening back to like every episode, like trying to improve, like what we can do differently the next time, and just keep getting better every time.
It takes a long time to get to the point where you hear that something's not right, but you don't know what's not right. You don't know how to fix it, you know, but when it takes a while to get to the point of like, oh, now I know how to fix that, or, you know, just kind of identifying. It's just problem solving essentially,
Sure.
You know, it's just a bunch of
a lot of trial and error
and problem solving.
Right.
That's all it is. You know?
Yeah. So a lot of it, you said, with just friends in high school, like in the garage bands and stuff, kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you know, my background's pretty much all punk rock.
Yeah.
So I played in a punk band in high school, and I grew up in Farmington, Missouri, and all my buddies' bands and the neighboring town bands like St. Genevieve and Potosi and or that whole area, like, you know, I'd make friends with the bands because we'd play together at parties and whatnot. And then they'd end up coming over on the weekend, and, you know, we'd just record some songs poorly. But I listen back. Sometimes I'll find a cassette tape or something. I'm like, it wasn't for being as much of a novice as I was, and for just the junk that I had to use.
Sure.
It was like it could have been worse, you know, but it still wasn't good.
And that's kind of the fun of especially punk. That's kind of what you're going for, you know. It's like you're not looking for.
Sometimes it depends.
Yeah, it's like people like kind of not, you know, obviously when it still sounds good, but it's not like you're looking for high quality, super polished production.
Not some of that stuff back then for sure. You know?
I mean, some of the times it's some of the most fun is like having those just raw garage recordings and stuff, because like
the energy is more real. You know, I mean, I'd have a hard time doing that these days, I think, because I just wouldn't be happy with it. You know? But
and it's like I'm sure, like, even if you listen to that stuff now, like, it'd still probably be fun, because like, even though doesn't sound the best, but it's like nostalgia to it also. Like, it's cool to like just to even have that, you know, initiative to like capture that moment, you know, like this, try to record something and make it happen.
Yeah. It's the moment in time that's captured, you know, forever, more or less. That's interesting. And I mean, some things sound good not sounding good, you know. Most things need to sound good.
Sure.
Even I was having this conversation the other day with I think my friend Don from Bastard Squad. We were recording some stuff, and we were kind of joking about how you know, sometimes people will be like, oh, it's punk rock, it doesn't need to sound good, or it's supposed to sound like shit, you know. It's like, yeah, that's not always the case though. Like, it needs to sound good. It can still have like a rawness to it, but still be hi-fi and still be sound like a professional recording, just without all the extra unnecessary bells and whistles, you know. So.
But yeah, man, sometimes you can't beat some of those just live, you know, the energy that, like, it's some bands, like, they just can't capture, they can't figure out how to translate that to a studio.
It's hard,
you know, or vice versa. Some bands can't. Some bands sound incredible in a studio but can't do the live show, and it's like,
I feel like that's a thing a lot because of modern production. Is you know, a band will come record, and you know, most of the bands I get are tight bands and they sound good live, and you know, I mean, occasionally, and I couldn't even tell you who, but I'm sure over the years there's been bands that come in and it's kind of rough, and we doctor it up and get it to sound good, and then by the end of the recording process and mixing and everything, it's super tight and sounds great, and they just can't reproduce that live, you know. And it's
I also don't.
It's a little bit of a catch-22 of sorts for me, because I'm like, I want to do the band justice, but at the same time, I don't want to falsely represent this band, you know. But at the end of the day, they pay me to do what they want done, and that's what I do, you know. So
Yeah, I don't mind like some of that when like you know, obviously it depends on the band and the show and everything, but like sometimes I like when the band doesn't sound exactly like the recordings, you know, like
for sure, yeah.
You know, it's like that's part of the beauty of going to see the live show is like this is a different experience than hit and play on the record and stuff. So
definitely. I like, you know, I mean, I feel like most bands, some bands, depending on the genre or style, will play to a metronome live, you know, because they have backing tracks and stuff like that. And I get that to an extent. But, you know, most bands that don't play to a click track, I feel like they're always live. It's always faster. And I love that because, you know, it's like, you know what it sounds like on the record, you know, assuming they have a record, and it's like you want it to sound close to that, but it still needs like a little extra live energy, something to it, you know, a little more push or whatever it may be, you know. So
yeah,
it's always fun to me. I'm like, oh, that's way faster than the record, but I love it, you know.
Yeah, man. So what? So you're figuring it out a little bit with this 4-track tape deck and stuff, trying to, you know. But when does like a click like this is something I want to do as a career? Like when you kind of make that move?
Well, I progressed from the crappy cassette tape things, and then probably went through a phase in my early 20s where I kind of got out of it for a bit because I was moving to St. Louis, and I was, you know, like just that early 20s phase where you're just kind of figuring stuff out, and you know, I moved up here with some guys, and we were playing in a band, but then I guess I wasn't really into the recording part for a couple of years or so, and then I ended up getting like a digital version of the cassette recorder, essentially, like a little standalone digital multi-track recording device, you know, and started tinkering with it again, and was getting stuff to sound pretty good, and then kind of, you know, ended up moving into this house in Richmond Heights, and they had a nice basement for recording, and, you know, just kind of started getting heavily back into it, and that progressed into Pro Tools and learning that, and then it just kind of kept doing it, and then I started having bands around here say, hey, do you want to record my band? And I'd be like, sure, and I'd do it for super cheap because I'm still learning, you know, and that's kind of the process, I feel like, for most recording engineers or hobbyists even, or whatever. But and then it just kind of evolves, and, you know, you suck for a while and you get a little better here and there, and it's like it's that constant learning, you know.
I love there's a meme I popped up or whatever picture, but it was like something along like, you know, don't be afraid to suck at something new, you know. It's like don't be, a lot of people are even afraid to like challenge themselves to like even try that new thing. So I
mean, and if you don't think you're going to suck at first and for a while, then you're delusional, you know. Like it's that's something like, even now I've been doing this forever, and occasionally I'm like, man, does it sound good? I don't know, you know. And it's like you have to step back and kind of refresh, and
I always anytime I ever have like people on, I had a lot of friends that did the show early when we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and if they ever come back, I always make sure to thank them for putting up with me back then, because you know, I was like, I appreciate you giving me a chance to fail, you know, like learning that, because like, you know, we were just having fun.
Start somewhere.
Yeah, but it's like I feel much more confident in my abilities today. You know, it's like 7 years later, 900 some episodes.
Do it that many times, and it, you know, it just gets easier. It's like when I work with bands, the first time, like we're feeling each other out, and you know, they're maybe not used to the process, or not used to how I work, or whatever it may be, and then, you know, we get through it, and then almost all the bands that I work with, I've worked with multiple times, or the majority of them, I would say. But after the first time, you know, you kind of figure out how to work together, and then the second time, third time, and on however many, whenever they come back, it's just like it clicks so much faster because you've figured out how one another, how to kind of read one another and how everyone works and what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are and the pacing and so it's like the podcast. You've done it so many times now, 900 million or so.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. I don't know. And then a lot of it too is, I imagine for you is just like one, learning some of that strengths and weaknesses, like you're saying then, but like also, just building that relationship with these guys and girls and then like learning how to like, the best way to, handle, approach people and stuff, talk about these things.
They're all different,
Right.
That's the thing too. It's at first you don't realize it's like, oh, I'm going to record this way. And it's going to be that way every time. It's like it's never the same. I shouldn't say it's never the same way twice, but it's never exactly the same way twice. You know.
Yeah. So you mentioned early that your punk rock kind of has always been a thing for you. That's always like your first love and stuff in music, and that's it seems to be kind of your. I wouldn't say you're not exclusively, but it's kind of your niche. You play play still, and you record a lot of punk rock music and stuff. So, but I we wanted to sprinkle in a couple of different things that you've been working on as far as behind the board here as an engineer and producer. And I wanted to start with Wes Hoffman and Friends. They just dropped a punk rock couple singles out there,
some
and
pop punk gems.
Yeah,
I love Wes and his gang. They're all awesome.
Yeah.
Songs are good.
So, I met Wes a few years back. I think we initially met through podcasting, and then he learned he plays too. And I'm pretty sure that's like. But anyway, we've been friendly for a couple of years now, and he came through and talking about some of the new recordings and stuff. But this was a fun jam for sure.
So far
wasn't easy. I don't think it's ever been easy.
So what was that like working with Wes and stuff in the studio?
Super easy. I mean, he's prepared. Comes in with a pretty clear goal, and we just make little adjustments along the way. But it's he's got the songs well rehearsed and mapped out, and it makes it a lot easier. He'll be here this weekend actually recording some new stuff.
There we go.
Yeah, it's some bands come in and they're just like, where do we start? What do we do? And some bands come in like Wes, for example, he's demoed his songs in GarageBand or whatever it may be, and it's like he knows the tempos, he knows the layout, it's just ready to hit the ground running, So that's another interesting thing about this job is going into working with someone new. It's like that first time, you may get off to a slow start because you don't know. If they've never done, especially if they've never been in a studio, they're kind of maybe ill prepared, and not necessarily in a bad way, but they just, and I'll try to prep them beforehand or whatever. But and some people have more of an ability to do things ahead of time, like kind of prep some pre-production tracks and just kind of expedites the things whenever we get started in here.
Yeah. That
Wes is awesome.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, check him out wherever you're getting your digital music at. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll get some new tunes on the way soon. But that's which I think is fun with like what you do. Like again, that's kind of the pop punk angle. But I know I know we talked about you on the show, like my buddies Common Jones recorded with you.
Done several things for those guys.
Yeah, and they're like a little reggae, a little rock, little pop. Like there's all kinds of things and mixed into that record, which is a very eclectic blend of music, which I love. Like too, I just like having a lot of variety coming through on an album.
They've got a couple punky parts, and I'm always like, you should do more of that.
Yeah. All right. But that was
awesome. Yeah, I get a wide variety of artists and bands through here, so it's pretty awesome. I mean, I definitely, as much as I love punk rock, if I only did punk rock, I would get burnt out on it real quick.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, if does something like that, like, is it refreshing for you to like kind of come up with something different like that?
Absolutely, yeah.
And try to challenge yourself too, as a
Totally, yeah. I mean, you gotta, the approach to recording and mixing different genres isn't necessarily going to be the same. I mean, even if they have the same components, the sounds are different. Just the vibe is different. So it's even if it's similar, it's he's got to find the way to really bring out the best in that what it is, instead of just defaulting to it's going to be the same every time. Like these punk rock drums and this reggae drums are going to be the same drums. Like it's not going to work, So and I'm a drummer first, so like that's a big deal to me. Speaking of drums, like not having that just default robotic drum sound and everything. Like I love just the character and personality of a real drum kit, and each drummer's style with that kit is, it's kind of like its own fingerprint in a way. So,
Yeah. I think it's funny. Like I've had some friends kind of talk about like, obviously, there's so many things, different tools now today with creating music where you can essentially program the drums.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people wouldn't even know the difference.
Yeah. I have to do that occasionally for some stuff, but I don't prefer it.
Yeah. And then I remember like they they recorded and then they went to like they're getting ready to play and like he's like, and the drummer's like, how do you guys do this? And he's like, I don't know, we never done it, like, so we had to figure it out, like, but it was just like so that's a challenge you run into, is trying to replicate what the computer did.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I'm
but
not a big fan of that. I mean, I see like sometimes it's a necessity because you might have a couple people that want to record a record, but they don't have a drummer, or sometimes I get sent things to mix that maybe the drummer recorded at home or whatever, and they don't have the proper setup to record drums at home, so they'll program it or maybe play it on an electronic kit, which is kind of translates to the same sound, so it's always interesting. It keeps me on my toes
for sure. Well, speaking of drums, I thought you sent me another track, which is another very different than Wes, but you sent me a track from As Earth Shatters, and I thought the drums sounded really great on this particular track.
Metal drums.
Yeah.
I tried to send you a variety of things,
right.
So.
But yeah, these guys are a lot heavier, and I love. Well, they're a great bunch of guys. They're a lot of fun to.
Yeah, you've had them on the show. Right?
Oh yeah, super silly.
Yeah, they're goofy dudes.
Yep.
I like them a lot.
Yeah. But
a lot of Deftones vibes to me there, but not the vocals. Tyler's vocals are more metal, heavier, obviously, but they have kind of a Deftones thing, which I like a lot,
Yeah. What do you do much with metal? Is that
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a ton. I used to do more metal, and I still do a good amount, but not a ton.
Yeah.
I have a good group of metal bands that I record that I love, and I don't get a whole lot outside of that when it comes to metal. Mm-hmm. Fister.
Those guys are fun too.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah. Like great friends of mine. I've recorded almost all of their records. Hell Night. Awesome guys. The Lion's Daughter, Bastard. I just did a record for Bastard. They're incredible. It's a really cool record. Yeah, I'm sure I'm missing like a ton of stuff.
Sure.
I'm looking around the wall trying to like, oh, Kodiak is cool. You know, and these bands all have a pretty drastically different metal vibe, you know, and
there's a lot of subgenres in.
Yeah, well, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I don't know what all those are, but yeah, it's cool. It's just all good to me.
Sure, I'm learning. I'm trying not to, but even that, like,
I'm more of a lump. I'm more of like it's all metal,
sure,
it's all punk rock, whatever. I don't get into the. It's too much to think about.
I often ask them to help me to describe like or how they want to be represented.
Yes.
You know, because
That's
like
a good idea.
because like you know, my definition of some of these sounds are like or you know or something like that like are maybe wrong, but you know I remember like you know especially I used to get it a lot when work. Luckily, I like a lot of the bands I knew, so that what made it easier. But working the door down at Broadway Oyster Bar, I would often people, you know, maybe not know who the band is, and I would have to kind of give them the elevator pitch, you know, trying to what they were getting into to pay for the cover. And I remember specifically a group like Cluster Pluck would come in, and you know, people would often say they were bluegrass, but if you talk to any bluegrass enthusiasts, they're not bluegrass.
Right.
You know, they have electric guitars and all kind and pedals and all these different things.
They call that newgrass.
Yeah, just and so that.
Yeah, it's another world I'm very unfamiliar with when it comes to the little subgenre things. You know.
Yeah, but
I did a record several years ago with Cluster Pluck.
Oh, nice.
I think they've changed members since then, but good group of folks.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's just like so you have to be careful what you say because if somebody, you know, I mean, not that I don't think anybody's ever going to be offended by it or something, but you know, like I said, purist and enthusiast will definitely correct you. Like, hey,
100%.
Yeah. 100%. So, but yeah, man. Anyway, this As Earth Shatters was fun to hear. Like I said, some metal coming from you and stuff, and this was a fun track, and you can find those guys hopefully on a stage here soon.
I think so. I'm pretty sure they have some stuff coming up.
Yeah.
I was looking for something heavier to give you.
Yeah.
To represent more of that, and I started realizing that all these songs are super long, and I was like, man, like I'm not going to give them an 8-minute long song, you know. So I gave you that As Earth Shatters song. I forget what it is, but it was like on the shorter end of all the metal things I have in my repertoire. So
Anyway, here's Stairway to Heaven. You know. Like
exactly.
So, right. What's that? I think it was like Anagata Davida or something. One of those like you know that's like one they would always play when they had to run to the bathroom or something. It's like a 26-minute song or something like that.
Way long.
Yeah. But man. So what now? When you, I guess it all varies by your client, whoever's coming in. Mm-hmm. But like, do a lot of people welcome you in as like an extra member of the band and like kind of like
a lot of times,
offer a lot of creative freedom with and stuff like
most people. I mean, occasionally. You know, you can get a vibe from people pretty quick if they don't want any input. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty rare, honestly, but like even if they don't, I'll be like, I'm going to tell you what I think, and you don't have to. I mean, you know, like if I'm recording Shane's record right now, you can be like, I'm just like, I know what I want. I'm just going to lay it down and be like, cool. But if I hear something that sucks, I'm going to tell you. You don't have to listen to me, but I'm not. You know, my job is to is to say something, and
Sure.
but that's rare. Most people are like, if any input you have is welcome, and I, which is great, because I mean that's one of my favorite parts of the job, is helping people, at least in my eyes, make it better. Or a lot of times it's not, I'm not trying to change your song. The producer role, I kind of hate that word, honestly, but I get it. Like, to me, the producer is more like the Rick Rubin laying the guy back on the couch. It's like, we need to write another bridge for this song, and and I get that, but I don't really care to have that big of a producer role.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've done that. I've had my friends band. Well, they're called Company Retreat now. They used to be called Bent Left, from Kansas City, but one time they came here and stayed for like 2 weeks or so, and they came in with the shell of maybe 4 songs, and we sat here and I helped them write songs, and I was definitely a big part of that process. And then by the time the record was done, there was 10 or 12 songs, so. Nice. But most people aren't trying to pay for that much time,
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work. So
yeah, I like that whole idea, though, like that, because like, so, I don't know, I feel like sometimes a band could get pretty attached to playing a song a certain way.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it's not clicking. It's just like, it's not right where it needs to be. And then all of a sudden you're like, you come to a guy like yourself, and maybe you just say something, hey, let's up the BPM. Let's cut this chorus or this, part or whatever, like double that or what, just something simple.
Can usually find a solution.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, everything snaps into place, and it's like, why didn't we see that all along? Like, so.
Totally. Yeah. And that happens. And sometimes it's even, just sitting around figuring it out and bouncing ideas off, and maybe I'll throw out an idea that doesn't get used, but it makes somebody think about something else, and it's like, oh, I had, and they come up with the idea. It's more about, multiple brains,
sure,
more than one, type of thing. So it's
do you ever get like just solo artists like coming in and like help like build a record with just, because I feel like
occasionally, not too often, but I've done a few of those for sure.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that would, especially in that, I feel like that would probably be more where you can offer a lot more. The band has probably internal conversations and stuff where they want to go, but we're dealing with a solo artist one-on-one, like probably a lot more creative input, is needed.
I would like to be everyone's band.
Yeah,
make things easier.
Yeah,
less arguments.
Sure.
No, most bands don't argue too heavy. There's always some debate. It's bands will show up and realize like someone's been playing the wrong note this whole time, whatever that whole time is, in practice or at shows, or they haven't recorded yet, so they haven't really heard every little detail, and it's so you'll get into like, well, I think it should be this. Well, I think it should be this, and because they've been playing it 2 different ways. But it always comes to a peaceful agreement of one or the other. But I do like doing the singer-songwriter, me being the band type of thing.
Right.
It's fun. I don't get to do it very often, but I've done it before. My friends, I've done records for my friend Jen Norman, where I've played the drums and bass and guitar and keys or whatever. I'm not a key player, but I can fake it enough to do some basic stuff.
Well, you worked just recently. We mentioned you on the show working with one of your bandmates, Dan Johanning, kind of creating and that was a very different kind of record too.
Yeah, that was more. Didn't really play anything, but that was a lot of computer based things. Anyone that's heard it, it's very electronic.
Right.
And my wife's sang a ton on it.
That was cool to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very cool. I mean,
I was pretty. I mean, I was impressed, but I was like, kind of blown away, but it was something very different. I didn't,
Dan's a creative guy.
Yeah, I've been following Dan for a long time, and I know he.
That was out of left field for sure.
Yeah, it was cool to hear something completely different. So, yeah, check that record out.
Absolutely.
But yeah, let's play. You wanted to share a tune from some younger group that recently came into studio with you called Mr. Malone.
Yeah, they actually haven't been here, and it's probably been a couple of years. But I was looking through just things that I've done, and it's a lot. So if I always have to write things down, or if you ask me what I'm working on or what I've done, I just blank because it's so much stuff I don't even know. But I was looking for tracks to give you for this, and I was like, man, this record is really good. And these kids are super young and pretty unknown. They've played around St. Louis and the surrounding area multiple times, but I was listening through those songs and just remembering how incredibly talented they are.
Yeah.
And it's rock and roll, like very, they have a lot of, they're young, or, I'm guessing 21 or, early 20s, very early 20s. And they've got a lot of classic rock influence going on. And it's just something you don't see a lot in that age group.
Sure.
At least I don't,
Yeah, there was so
they're great.
I felt like that's always one of my favorite things. Kind of like I love discovering new bands and especially young groups that are doing something super cool. One in particular that comes to mind when I think about that is like I met this group Bleach, and they were like in this high school battle of the bands thing. And they were like 14 or something. That, like,
I've heard good things about them. I haven't seen them yet or heard them. But.
But it really, even then they were like, blew me away, like as raw as they were.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I'm definitely have to keep an eye on these kids because they're gonna do something. And like, sure enough, like within, they were doing much bigger shows and they have a very solid fan base. But it was just like fun to like follow that with them, and like it just how exciting it was to see like these young guys that are just so excited about playing and stuff.
Super young, super talented.
Yeah,
will probably do great things as long as they stick with it.
Yeah, they. But that's I was thinking as you were kind of describing Mr. Malone, I was thinking like that's got to be a really cool thing for you too. Is like maybe you potentially you could be one of the first people to ever hear them in a studio and stuff or anything like that.
Totally,
so,
yeah.
I'm sure you get those calls like where their very first studio session and stuff, and so that's got to be an exciting thing to be a part of. Is like never know where this record could go or what could happen and stuff. So
big fan too. It's two brothers. One plays drums, one plays guitar. They're buddy plays bass, and it's real. Just there's nothing. No unnecessary bells and whistles, and it's great guitar playing, great drumming, great bass playing, killer vocals. And it's just I love simplistic stuff, not simplistic in a playing sense, like the playing is great, but simple and that it doesn't need a bunch of extra junk
to
make it sound awesome.
Yeah.
What you think what's the point in this?
There's a lot of truth to that. Like, just sometimes less is more,
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of less is more.
Yeah.
And I believe in it.
Right.
A lot of people try to cover up, whatever with just piling on extra tracks, whatever it may be, and it's like, it's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it does, but I'm always just like, I love like just the rawness of like an acoustic guitar and a singer songwriter, because if it can sound good like that, then we know we can build it up from there and stuff. So that's just the power of a good song and stuff. So
I love a big dense mix of guitars and bass and drums and keys and synth vocals, whatever. But, you can tell when sometimes maybe it's overdone to try to compensate for something else at times, but
is there any certain piece of advice you think, or something that you see as a common mistake that you maybe want to shine a little light on that help younger bands coming in here?
For bands that would want to maybe streamline their recording process or something,
or any piece of advice you might want to offer.
Drummers need to learn how to play to a metronome.
Yeah.
It's not the end all be all. Like I record bands live and I dig that, but you should still be able to play consistently in time. I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole of drum things, but I won't do that. Man, it's hard to say. There's so many different areas that can be,
right,
that can be honed in on. But I'd say that's
probably a big one.
Just being prepared.
Sure.
Like have you know your song.
Yeah.
People show up sometimes and they just don't know their own stuff, or they'll write things that they can't play very well. Because they're trying to play maybe outside of their skill level a bit. And then, we've got to studio it together, which is okay. But, maybe just they should have practiced it more before showing up and having to, really hack it together. But, I mean, those are probably the main things that really eat up time and can become frustrating if you're really just hammering on one thing for hours, and it's like, man, you should have just been better prepared.
Yeah.
So preparedness in whatever sense is the main thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a good lesson in life for anything.
Totally.
But, whatever you're doing.
Totally.
If you're going to spend money and, time to do it, you should probably do all the work that you can do to be best prepared before you go in there.
And don't get me wrong, if you want to show up and try to play one guitar lick for 5 hours and pay me for it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's still maddening either way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd prefer my mental health over your dollars.
Yeah. Well, you can, again, get plugged in with Gabe over here at Encapsulated Studios, and you can reach out through the social media, or you can email directly.
I'm not hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gmail is cguaudio@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'll maybe get your band in here and
message me on Facebook or Instagram, or message the studio. I'm not hard to find.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I think that's I don't know, man. It's just cool. Like I said, I'm a fan of your work, and I think it's a lot of fun.
Thanks.
All the different music.
I'm a fan of your work.
Oh, thanks, buddy. But yeah, get your band in the studio and create the next big record.
Let's do it.
So, but I also wanted to talk about your work as a musician. You were again in a lot of different bands around town, and we mentioned the Wilderness, and you guys just dropped a new record during COVID.
Right around the beginning of COVID, so it kind of squashed our plans for a release party and any playing out at all. Really,
right.
we've just now started rehearsing again and kind of prepping for trying to do something.
Yeah. I love this project. It's I'm a big fan of the record. But just everything you guys. But Dan and Bobby are some of my favorite songwriters in town. They're
awesome.
Very talented guys.
Yep.
And you and Pookie holding down the rhythm section.
That's what we do.
Yeah, man.
someone else's point of view. I've been working Well, I'm working hard tonight, trying to find a soul I can't lose. Turn the page. You've been working all your life. Someone else's point of view. I've been working. Well, I'm working hard tonight, trying to find a soul I won't lose. But it's better when you're here. Let's keep it in the
And it seems like that seems to be a trend. I think you guys playing in quite a few bands together, right? Or is
Right now it's just
the two,
just Wilderness and the Disappeared,
Okay.
which this Disappeared's when we first started playing with one another, which
Okay.
was, I joined the band in I think 2007 or 8, and they'd been a band for a year or so before that. So we've been playing together for a while now.
So that's your longest. The Disappeared is the longest active band then that you play
Yes,
with?
that I've been in the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we play in the Wilderness together and Disappeared. So it's we've had a lot of time to lock in.
Yeah. Is that as a drummer? Do you? I guess there's a lot of the great bass players you can probably gel with, but is that pretty important to you to?
Oh yeah,
to have a guy like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like if the bass and the drums aren't together, and depending on the genre, sometimes they're going to be more together than like a funk type of genre is going to be like they have to be locked in,
right,
100%. Something like hardcore, rock and roll, there's going to be moments where we're kind of doing our own thing, but overall, the big picture, like they should be really synced up, and I think that's having that solid foundation really is important for any rock oriented genre.
Yeah, I remember I went to see Funky Butt Brass Band played at the Fox, and their bass is Cody Henry on the sousaphone, and I remember my mother-in-law was made a comment about like, why is he always looking at the drummer instead of facing the audience and stuff? Especially Cody's got like lights all around his sousaphone, and it's kind of a spectacle too. But I was like, well, because he's following Ron for the cues and stuff,
sure.
and they got to be in sync together.
Tight.
But yeah, it's I think a lot of that, just especially having that you guys played together for so long, you just kind of already know each other so well, like where each other wants to go with things and stuff. And
we hadn't rehearsed in months. Probably a couple weeks ago, we're still struggling to get our schedules synced up, but we rehearsed for the first time in months a couple weeks ago, and I think we were all pretty surprised at how. It was a little rough at first, but it locked in pretty quickly. Other than forgetting a few things here and there, but. I think we were all pretty pleasantly surprised that it came back that quick and was fairly tight. So that's one thing I find interesting. You mentioned playing in 5 bands, and I'm like, man, I just feel like that'd be the hard part, is like trying to memorize all the material and stuff, and like if I were playing guitar in 5 bands, I feel like I would struggle a little more with that. But drums, like once you get off the ground, like. Once the tempo's set and you're moving, then it's like, okay, it's kind of muscle memory from there in a sense.
Yeah.
But
I feel like drumming maybe is slightly different, but I like to think about lyrics and stuff if I had to sing or like I don't know, but some guys have the like the little cheat, having a little iPad there and stuff,
cheat sheet
or something. But which if you're doing a lot of cover, or whatever, those 4-hour gigs and things like that. But
I can't even imagine. If somebody asked me to play a 4-hour gig, I would say no. like, no way.
Right.
I'd die.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess it would depend on the amount of money, but
Yeah.
Coming from a punk rock background, I'm not used to getting paid to play.
Sure.
So, occasionally, which is nice. But
Well, I mentioned The Wilderness. Obviously, that record available everywhere you're getting your digital music
yep,
at.
it's out there. Real rock radio.
Yeah,
It's
man.
named after something around town.
Yeah, what's something around town. But you, someone else's news, right? What's
Yeah, I think that's the one I threw in there. We've got shot a video of that with our bud JT Ibanez.
Yeah.
A while back. It's been floating around out there for a while, so find that if you feel so inclined.
Yeah, do that. JT's a very gifted man. He's really talented.
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan of his work too. So
He did a lot of practicing in his formative years on the Wilderness when we were kind of still kind of getting our thing together too, you know, because so he'd be like, you know, so we've actually got a couple. It's got to be 2 or 3 videos that he's done.
Right on.
Some early on, you know, with just simple. I mean, we usually like simple videos anyway, not a bunch of fancy stuff. So, but it's cool. Yeah, JT's awesome, and we've
no explosions
worked
and
with him a few
CGI.
times. Yeah, that's not for us. So save that for the
Right.
for the fancy bands.
I don't know. Just for whatever reason, whatever. I've been getting into this show, Lego Masters. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever catch that.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I think I've maybe scrolled past it on something.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. Will Arnett's the host.
Okay.
And he makes me laugh. He's just super goofy, and but it's wild what these people are able to create with just Lego bricks, and it's very impressive. Because I have a hard time with the directions, and these people are just creating these masterpieces out of their mind and imagination.
I still have my giant box of Legos from when I was a kid.
All right, but they did one the other day where it was like you're supposed to create this like movie moment type of thing, and he always has like these weird, these funny intros, and it was like the start of the show, and he was like, what's that? Oh yeah, I'll be right there. And he like comes out of his dress as tour bus dressing room kind of thing.
Yeah.
Steps off his bus, and then it explodes behind him. All this CGI explosion and stuff. And he did the whole slow motion walking away, putting on sunglasses and stuff. And and then he walked down the set oh hey, what's up guys? And it was just the whole cool guy walking away from a fire
awesome,
that.
Yeah. I'm definitely into that cheese.
Yeah.
I would definitely want that in a video if it was purposefully cheesy.
Yeah, right.
Meant to look silly, you know.
Yeah, that could be fun for a video. Maybe not quite the explosion, but just especially these are a lot of good rock and roll tunes, man. Putting cars and all, all stuff like that, and just could be fun to put some production into a video.
Yeah. Well, I guess if we had a big budget, we could do just a video of just a long car chase scene, ending with some explosions. So
yeah, man.
Start saving, I guess.
Yep. So we've also mentioned The Disappeared, and this is a group that you guys were pretty active, and then took a pretty good break, right?
We were very active from the time I joined the band, and I think it was 2007, maybe 2008. If Brad was here, he could probably give you specific dates. I'm not the date guy, but, toured here and there. Nothing crazy, but we do, a week here and there. Definitely a lot of Weekend Warrior stuff. Played a ton around town and wherever we could. And then played, there's a punk rock festival in Florida every year called The Fest, which is a huge deal for us. I still go whenever I can. Just kind of we're all my favorite bands come together sort of thing. But we played that in 2008, I believe, 8 or 9. Had some pretty good steam for a while, and then, just kept grinding. And then you get a little older and jobs and kids and, well, kid. The only one that has a kid is Brad, so I say kids, but... not that was a big deal, but you just getting older, things that happen as you get older, and
adulting.
And then, I think 2015, we just hit a point where we weren't really playing, and we didn't just want to let it die without giving it a proper burial per se. And I think we knew we weren't going to bury it. It was just like a farewell for now type of thing. So we did a show at the demo RIP and did really well. And, I think going out on a high note like that really was a positive thing for us. And then 2018, we were kind of all getting the itch again, and life had settled down for most of us. And we were just in a good spot to start playing again and kind of wanting to write some new stuff. And so we did.
Yeah.
Did a return to action show at the Sinkhole with a bunch of friends, and then slowly started putting together new music. And we actually, that ended up being the Science and Reason EP that we recorded and put out right around the same time as the Wilderness record came out in the beginning of COVID. So kind of squashed our plans,
Yeah.
but it's, it's on Spotify and all that stuff. So, but we're going to be playing out soon and writing more stuff, and maybe might end up combining some things into a full record, but we're not really sure yet. But yeah, we're just excited to be doing it,
Yeah, man. This this track, Civility in America.
Yeah,
right.
I wanted to throw a fast one on there.
Yeah.
It's fast and short, and that's kind of my bread and butter that's a very representative song as I think me as a drummer and the kind of stuff that I've always played since I was a teenager. And I love, fast, slow, whatever. And that's definitely the fast song of that EP. But I just thought, I was like, I think there needs to be a fast song on this playlist. So.
Yeah, man. I was just hanging with some guys the other night, and they're kind of a hardcore thing, and I think most of their songs are run around like 2 minutes. It's like that's a longer one at 2.5 minutes or something. But they were, and that's what they were kind of saying, like just get in and get out. Like
that's the sweet spot to me. 2.5 to 3.5 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, I think 2.5 to 3 minutes, I would say, is a perfect song length. Mm-hmm. I know 3 minutes is a pretty popular length, but I feel like you can, sometimes, not definitely not every longer song. I mean, the genre, it's very genre dependent, and all that. But when it comes to like a punk rock song or just your typical rock song or something, like when you start pushing over 4 minutes. 3.5, 4 minutes, it's like, it starts to feel real, maybe something's a little redundant, or I don't know. Maybe I'm just have a short attention span, but I've always just liked trimmed down songs.
Sure.
I say that, and I played in a band called Braddock, and we had a couple 5-minute long songs, which is partially my fault, but it was a little more progressive in nature. So again, it just depends on what it is. So.
I think even as a fan of music, I think there's certain days and moods that I'm in where like maybe I want stretch out a song, a little jam, something a little having something like that, and then sometimes there's definitely where I want a fast and heavy song and just
Yeah, I mean, there's instrumental bands sometimes like Daybringer. Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff for them. I mean, I think it does it more justice when it's more of the song is more of an adventure,
right?
Because there's no vocals. It's supposed to be a ride.
Scores and stuff and like movies and all of these different things like that, like the work that like even though there's no words or anything, the emotional adventure you can go on and just a instrumental track like that and stuff, like it's really impressive what you can create with like that.
Yeah, but you don't want to hear a 7-minute pop song.
Yeah. All right.
Fister, we were talking about. I mean, it's the genre for sure, but they have some songs that are. I mean, there's one of their records is it's essentially one 44-minute long song, but it's on vinyl, so it has to have a break for the sides. If you listen to it on a digital format, it all flows together.
Yeah.
The only break on vinyl is where you have to flip the record over.
Right.
So, and I get it. It's awesome, and we had a great time making that. But
yeah, man.
You're not going to listen to a 44-minute long punk rock song. I'd be. Yeah, I don't want to do it.
Sure. I just picked up the Black Keys Delta Cream record on vinyl. And I don't know if you've listened to that at all, but like it's not that it's like one song, but you can definitely they left a lot in as far as like you feel like it's a live recording.
Yeah.
There's like them talking like
That's cool.
to each other and stuff.
I do enjoy that.
There's a lot of that kind of stuff. Like so it almost feels like really all they did was like cut it up into tracks. Like it could have like, they were like, oh, you want to do this one? All right, here, like whatever. And just like, so it's kind of, it's a really cool feel to that album and stuff. Like and it's just like a classic, like, Mississippi, hill country blues.
Yeah.
Like it's all, covers on this album. They did all, Junior Kimbrough and R.L. Burnside and all like they're heroes and stuff, and so I thought that was really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
I like recordings like that where you can hear some interaction going on. Even if it's just the beginning or end of a song, just the song's fading out and you can hear the drummer like say something or whatever it may be.
I learned. So I've been into this podcast called The 500 with Josh Adam Myers, and it's all like he goes through Rolling Stones 500 greatest albums of all time, and a lot of times it's comedians because he's a comedian and he's like he'll have his friends but sometimes he has people that are actually like a part of the record or something. I think he did a Temptations record on there. I think it was the anthology album with the last remaining Temptation. I'm blanking on his name now. Yeah. But anyway,
I'm really bad at music trivia.
But
music's been my life, and I don't know anything.
But it was super cool, like to hear, especially a guy, or like he did Eliminator record with Billy Gibbons, which I'm a huge fan of ZZ Top. Yeah. So like hearing Billy talk about some of those recordings
cool.
was really fun.
So sort of like a behind the or making of type of thing.
Yeah, like, I mean it's an interview, but he also drops in like snippets of along the way and like kind of so it's he interviews the person through the record. But they got into the Beatles, and I think it was Little B, and like I learned like a lot of that stuff that the talking, where it sounds like the band is talking to each other, but it was all done in post. Like none of that was none of it's like live talking.
It's not genuine.
Yeah, so I was like, that kind of took away from it. Like it's kind of fun, like feel to it that it sounded like the band's just But a lot of it like
sometimes there's just things you don't need to learn or know. Like.
But I mean, I always thought that was a cool thing. Like, it sounded like the band's all getting along and laughing in the studio and stuff and recording, and then turns out like, nope, that's all fake. It's like
awesome.
Little Hollywood magic for you.
That's great.
But yeah. Anyway, it's a fun deep dive into music. For him, he had a friend that was like super big into music and like would always tell him about all these records and all these different things, and he just kind of played what he liked and stuck to his favorites. And then his friend passed, and like this is kind of his tribute to his friend. Like, he's gonna actually go listen to all these records that his friend always told him about.
Oh wow!
So he started with the 500 list, greatest albums of all time. And so sometimes it's his very first time listening to it and stuff. So it's interesting to kind of.
Does he listen to it as is he kind of like a reaction type of
not like live, no, but I think he does him and he's got a crew of people that work with him, and he does like his homework, but he actually he gives his response, his active feedback is like
cool.
as how he's and it's just, but anyway, it's an interesting show, and it's cool. I think like he'll get stories behind the songs, and he'll be like, they were going through this and whatever, and like, have you ever had an experience similar to that? Kind of, he'll like, and that's a way, he kind of, you realize the parallels in your life compared to these records and stuff, and that's
awesome.
Yeah, it's a really unique, like, it's an idea like that, and I'm like, damn it, why didn't I think of that? Like, that would have been a cool, it's like, cool way to podcast.
Oh,
the 500.
The 500.
Yeah, and then he got real mad because they put out a new list of the 500. They updated it.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, "Well, do we start over? Do we, or how, So he's sticking to the original 500 list, and then
job security.
Yeah, right. So I guess he maybe do it all over, start all over.
Right.
But yeah, it's a fun show. But yeah, man. So let's see. We got. Oops. What was it? Oh, you sent me another group you play with.
Yeah, a couple in there.
And,
3 more. To be specific.
Yeah, but Dan Vapid and the Cheats.
Yeah.
I'd seen the name, but this is my first time actually listening. This was this recording that you sent me. So
yeah,
which it was a lot of fun, man. I didn't really know anything what they expect.
I think I sent you Let Summer Work Its Magic, which is one of my favorite tracks on that record, which is called 3. Dan, he's kind of a punk rock legend of sorts. He was in Screeching Weasel for several records early on, which, any punk rock fans probably heard of. Methadones, Riverdales, among other projects he's had over the years, but a guy who I've listened to his music since I was a kid,
Okay.
And then my other band, Horror Section, started. We did a split with Dan Vap and the Cheats, essentially, and through this label Eccentric Pop, who puts out both bands' records currently, but. So I ended up meeting Dan because he came here with the current members of the Cheats to record their side of the split with my band Horror Section. And he had just moved from Chicago in the last few years to Highland, Illinois. And so he's pretty close, and I was like, oh, I'm going to meet, a guy who I've been a fan of my whole life, essentially, which was awesome. And I'm going to record his music, which is extra awesome, right? And so then, that release came out and whatever, and then, he ended up asking me to play drums in his band because he was, his band still lived in Chicago. He lived in Highland. One of the guys, Simon, the guitar player, was still going to be in the band. But the other guys, it was just hard to make the long distance thing work, essentially. So, of course, I jumped all over that. I was like, absolutely. So, exciting thing for me. He was here this morning. We're working on a new record. So,
very cool.
Kind of punk rock, pop punk type of stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely this stuff leans more on the rock side, but undeniably punk rock, but a little more melodic rock and roll oriented stuff. So
yeah,
that song's a little more pop punk that I sent you, a little more upbeat.
Right. Yeah, this was this was
so
cool. Like I said, I mean, and that's really one of my favorite things. Continuing to do this show is just discovering new music.
New stuff, yeah.
Man. So
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a band that's from around here. I mean, I'm from around here, and Dan lives close by, but we don't really play around much. Like we'll play some specific shows here and there,
right?
And hopefully we'll get back to that sooner than later.
Yeah,
but
man. Well, you again get plugged in with all these groups we mentioned on your Facebook and
Go get it.
Instagram. And everybody's got recorded music. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're all available wherever you're getting your digital music at. So check it all out. But Gabe, I've been going around. I've been asking some of these questions, and I want to get your take on a couple of these. And, all right. If you had an opportunity for a dream duet or collaboration, who might that be? Who's somebody that you would
man,
maybe
put me on the spot.
Yeah, maybe two answers as somebody you really love to like record with, or an engineer, somebody that you're
just somebody I'm just any musician I'm a fan of type of thing.
Sure. I feel like, I mean, or less, since we're representing both sides of your career.
Yeah.
Maybe an answer for both of those. Like, is there a certain
Doubling up on me here?
Yeah. Is there any producers or any people that like you're a fan of that you like admire their work as a producer and engineer and stuff? Like,
I'm really bad at nerding out on the things that I do.
Right.
Like I've played drums my whole life. I could probably name 5 drummers that I love. Like for some reason I just don't really nerd out on stuff like that too much. But producers, I mean, I always love. I mean, if we're talking big time stuff like Butch Vig can do no wrong. I mean, he's awesome. If we're going more like hardcore metal stuff, Kurt Ballou, Converge. It's like just the perfect rawness and energy. I don't even know. There's I know of others, but I on the spot I can't think of them.
Right.
The duet thing, that'd be tough. That's a really tough one. As far as like musicians that I'm a fan of, man, I really don't know. If we're going like kind of poppier, I really like Jimmy Eat World when it comes to like a poppier rock sense. So that dude, and I don't know who else, honestly.
Right.
Big fan of Hot Water Music and Ship Thieves. If you've heard of either of those, Chris Wallard is like one of my favorite vocalists of all time. Just a raspy kind of, everything's beautiful but rough and gruff at the same time.
Right. Yeah, man.
So that would definitely be a component, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what the other component would be.
Yeah. What? All right, this is you just personally. It's not a really. I also like just asking some random things that not music related. So, what's a movie or a TV show you wish you were in? Is there a certain world or anything that you think like that'd be cool to be a part of that?
I mean, I watch like old lady TV. Like, I love true crime junk and that kind of garbage.
I was just like Days of Our Lives or something like that. That's what I was went to my.
I clearly don't want to be a victim of a homicide,
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, like if I could be like hang out with the Golden Girls, that'd be cool.
Yeah, man, that's what I was hoping.
Good, solid pick for that. For that shirt, I was like, oh, look at the picture you found. That's great.
I was doing some digging. I was like, this will work.
I mean, I love, I don't know, I love stuff like Breaking Bad. Like, there's a few shows I've watched twice. Like I'm into like stuff like that, kind of like crime, like kind of down and dirty type of shows.
Sure.
So
putting
as far as a movie, I don't know, maybe Rad or something like that.
So you enjoy melting bodies in bathtubs with acid?
Yeah,
So,
I do actually. Yeah.
in my free time.
A movie doesn't pique my interest until somebody dies, typically. So, pretty positive person.
Yeah, man. All right. If the day comes we have a biopic about Gabe, who would you like to see cast to play you in the movie version? Is that right?
Oh,
You look like anybody?
man, I don't know. I'm getting old now, so I got gray hairs and whatnot, so it changes things up a little bit. Oh, I don't know. Let's just go with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
I think he'd be spot on.
Yeah, man. Let's make that happen, Hollywood. I was just watching this, like, I get in these, like, weird little rabbit hole type of video binge thing, you know, like on Facebook and YouTube. And one of them popped up, and it was all about, like, the best SNL impressions were, like, the people actually showed up on the show. And, like, so they were doing the impressions in front of the celebrity. And Will Ferrell was on there on the list twice. One doing his Janet Reno impression for Janet Reno's dance party, and which I thought was a lot. I didn't realize it at the time. I remember that was that bit and everything, but I didn't realize, like, she actually appeared on the show, and it was like her last day in office. And I don't know, just like, I think it's fun when they actually have a sense of humor about themselves, and they come and play along with it and stuff.
How would you not? I mean, you got to be a special kind of curmudgeon to not laugh at that, you know. I won't name any names.
Sure, but you know, and that Will was like, and also Will Ferrell was on there for Celebrity Jeopardy, having and getting to do Trebek in front of Trebek and stuff. He came out and surprised on him, and so anyway, like it's just, but yeah, Will Ferrell is one of the best for sure.
Yeah, I always laugh when I see him on TV. I don't know what it is.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, let's see the role he was born to play.
Me.
Yep. One I've been having fun with, and this kind of was inspired by Dave Grohl on the Stern Show a while back, because he was talking about a night hanging with Paul McCartney and Taylor Swift and just jamming and eating pizza, and I was just like, what a night, man. That sounds cool. But if you had an opportunity to maybe, you know, you said you didn't really like nerd out, but if you had an opportunity to, like, have a dream dinner, you invited maybe a couple, 3-4 people over or whatever, who would you like to maybe just spend the evening with, having a conversation?
Oh, man. Should ask me these things ahead of time so I can write them down. Right. I don't know.
I like, and this doesn't even have to be music related. I always think about anybody you're a fan of or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you know, there's so many options between musical heroes and general awesome people that have existed, you know, that have done great things in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it could just be a few dogs. That'd be cool.
Sure.
I don't think I can answer that on the spot.
It's a tough one.
There's just too many.
Yeah, sometimes they're just ridiculous questions. Or some they don't. There's no.
No, it's good. It's a good question. I probably could have formulated some sort of answer.
Right.
A little time to think about.
I do. Speaking of Dave, he made me laugh. The other night I watched him on Dave Grohl co-hosted the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and which I thought was just a silly idea, like that, because. Just have him there co-hosting with him, and they were doing the monologue together and stuff, and Dave says something like, yeah, man, this is like the coolest thing that's happened to me today, you know, or something like that. And he's like, and Jimmy's like, really? And he's like, no, dude, I was in Nirvana. All right. It was like, you know, just like, that's like one of the ultimate, like, you know, one-ups is like, I was in Nirvana.
Yeah.
So,
everything else is a letdown from there on out.
Yeah. So it just cracks me up that he can use that line whenever he wants now.
A lot of people, well, I don't know about a lot of people, but some people like to hate on Dave Grohl because he seems like he's too perfect or too cool, too nice. And like, I mean, to me, he's just awesome, you know? Like I like almost all of his music. Like, he just seems like a cool guy, you know? Like,
I mean, like,
it's easy to hate people like that. Sure. Like, oh, it's fake or he's this, and like, just you know, just let yourself like him. It's fine.
Right. You mean he's a good-looking guy? He's rich, and he plays great music, and you know, he's got everything like
positive energy. He's he stands for all the right things. You know,
it's like I don't know. But I'm with you. Like you know, there are a lot of reasons there to hate, but it's like he just seems like a cool guy to you know, hate out of jealousy and envy and stuff. But like, I just feel like I'm with you though. I just think it'd be fun to hang with him. He seems like a good time.
I always really tried and kind of did, but not for any good reason. But I really hated Guy Fieri because he looks like an idiot, right?
Right.
And then one day somebody was like, or I don't know, read it or whatever. I found out that he is this great person and donates to all these charities and does all these great things. And I'm like, damn it, I can't not like him now. I'm going to be the asshole if I,
Yeah.
And so I just kind of went full tilt the other way. And now I'm just watching diners, drive-ins, diners and dives or whatever it's called. And just I'm just going to forget the hatred. I'm just going to embrace Guy. So kind of the same thing.
Yeah. You're going to go bleach your tips?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's going gray anyway, so.
I love that meme too. The guy and the lead singer of Smash Mouth and the guy from ICP or whatever. Have you ever seen them all in the same room or something like that?
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
something
anyway, yeah, that was. Speaking of Dave, also, and this, I think it would be appropriate for you. And I thought it was interesting, but he was talking to called in the Stern Show the other day again, and he was mentioning Dave or Howard asked him about I think they played Nine Inch Nails. I don't know, Head Like a Hole or something, whatever. Something as an intro music into the show, and he asked him Dave about it. He goes because he's like those drums sound cool, and he's like, is that all program stuff or what, and he's like, oh yeah, that's all, programmed all that. And he's like, but he's talking about Dave said they around in the early 90s, they were, he was, when Nirvana wasn't working, he would crashing on a friend's floor and it was super hot in the middle of summer, and they would just go out and they would try to find a pool wherever, and to swim for the day and stuff. And what happened to be that day, they found this pool where it was at the house where I forget the girl's name, but it was part of the Manson family murder stuff, where this woman was killed, and so he was talking about he was at this house and it was already a super creepy, but Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails was there recording what I think became the Downward Spiral record
in that house.
In the house, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So I thought that was super interesting too. That, I feel that all kind of something like that, an eerie, spooky kind of a house.
I'm definitely into. I never do it. I never really have the chance to, but I like location recording, like taking everything to a somewhere like that, or some old barn or whatever it may be. That's something I always think about. Would be awesome, but I just never, no one ever really wants to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would be a lot of work, but still.
It's something, obviously, having a controlled space like this is ideal, but
for sure.
I feel something like that where you are trying to push yourself to the limit, and he created such an piece, that's an amazing piece of music and stuff. And
totally.
Maybe that wouldn't have been created had it not been for that house and stuff or whatever.
Just adds a little more spookiness or evil, tone to it.
I'm sure all that comes through and
the mood,
in the right mindset when you're actually recording it all. And
definitely.
So I was wondering. That's kind of when I brought that up. Is I was wondering if that was something that you ever messed with at all or anything.
I would love to do that, but I just never do.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future.
Yeah, man. That'd be
take the right client, I guess, or whatever.
I'm sure those fellows in Pfister or somebody, they might get into it.
Well, go find an old funeral home or something.
Yeah, right. But yeah, man. We'll get, again, you can find Gabe in Encapsulated Studios. Come on in and we'll record something cool together.
Record some tunes.
Yeah. But, man, it's been a ton of fun. I'm really glad we did this.
Good to see your face.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I say we do this again sometime soon, man. Hopefully we can get some of the other boys to join us and talk about some tunage.
Yep. We'll be doing... I've got plenty of bands that are going to be doing things, so...
Yeah, man.
No shortage of opportunities there.
I'm so glad everything is. I mean, my calendar is filling up fast, man, and
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's
a
good.
feeling.
I'm ready to get some sweaty at some rock and roll shows and
Yep, absolutely.
have a good time. So
We've got a wilderness show at Heavy Anchor on. These haven't been announced yet, but they're about to be. August 21st at Heavy Anchor, and then the Disappeared September 3rd at Heavy Anchor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, man. That's gonna be
Excited
cool.
that'll be, I think, my first time playing out since February of 2020.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's
it's
crazy.
wild.
Crazy to think
I have
about.
to remember how to do it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I always make a joke like, just like, I saw it on TV one time, or I watch a YouTube video. I remember how to do it and stuff.
Yeah, it'll all come back.
Yeah.
Should be fine.
All right, Gabe. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Well, yeah, that was it.